I was asked to make comments and questions since there is there is very short time. I just want to make a general comment in the sense that we should look at the impact of big data on methodologies, quality, and the profile of people. That it's important to keep sight of the rights of the data subjects on the use of their data. That's from the GDPR. And by the way, I found out that there was a change in these rules from the right to be forgotten to erasure. And probably you can comment on that, because I think that has implications on all these things. And I like very much the paradigm, the change in paradigm, to not to look from the west, but from the east, and that we should look at evidence. We should take evidence-based decision within the statistics to be able to protect, to have safe data, safe documents, so on. And finally, there were many ideas from Emmanuel. First of all, on the need for a new contract to save big data. I think that's important. On the issue of whether really anonymized data protects us from being identified. So this was also asked in the morning, the difference between pseudonymized and anonymized data, and it seems that there is not much difference. But what you were saying, or I understand that, and the issue of privacy, that it's been ill-defined. We have mainly the left-alone approach, and we need to get to the right to dignity and self-determination. And to close by the OPAL project that allows algorithms to go into the servers beyond the firewalls to produce data and to pull it back. And I think that's a very interesting project, and it reminds me somehow, but maybe you can explain, about the way the microdata labs also work within statistical offices. Because sometimes we can use code that goes into the server and transforms the data, processes the data, and then we get back the results. That's usually the norm within statistical offices. So having said that, I would like to open the floor for questions. We have about 15 minutes. Please, Natalia.
Two questions, one for Emmanuel. Do the telephone companies charge you, or how you make the deal with them? And if there is any type of output check, or just straight go the output? And to David Salgado, I switched to Spanish. Cuando mencionas los ejemplos de uso de Big Data, todos son datos estructurados, pero no mencionaste Big Data de las redes sociales, en donde se tiene que usar métodos semánticos para estructurar esos datos y poderlos usar. ¿No lo comprendió en el proyecto de investigación que ustedes hicieron?
Yes, please, Julio.
Tengo una pregunta para David. Él cerró comentando la necesidad de que en un ambiente de Big Data, las oficinas nacionales de estadística vamos a tener que hacer supuestos y vamos a tener que justificar esos supuestos. Quisiera elaborar un poco si esto, qué tanto tiene que ver con un supuesto del proceso de generación de datos y qué tanto es distinto esto con, digamos, la estadística clásica.
Thank you. So I will give you back the floor, and don't forget my question also. Okay. So please, David, could you go first?
Okay. Sure. Respondo primero a Natalia. Bueno, como he puesto ahí, el uso de los social media, de las redes sociales, no se contempló como fuente de Big Data en la producción de estadísticas oficiales en ninguno de los dos proyectos que se han puesto en marcha, pero eso no quiere decir que no haya habido experimentos en Europa al respecto. De hecho, una de las oficinas líderes en Europa, que es la holandesa, tiene experimentos de cómo analizar, hacer análisis de sentimientos y correlacionarlo con el grado de confianza de la sociedad en la economía o en el estado de la economía en ese momento. Y realmente obtienen resultados sorprendentes. La cuestión de los social media, la principal dificultad que supone es cuánto van a durar. Si queremos producir estadísticas oficiales que sean sostenidas en el tiempo, ¿quién me dice que con otro escándalo como el de Facebook al año que viene no desaparece? Sin embargo, los datos de telefonía móvil, mucho tiene que cambiar la tecnología para que algo cambie allí. O la navegación, o publicitarse por Internet a través de páginas web. Entonces, Eurostat o el Sistema Estadístico Europeo en general buscó fuentes de datos que fuesen lo más estables posibles en el tiempo, para que fuese una realidad incorporarlas a la producción diaria. Y con respecto a la otra pregunta, realmente podríamos estar hablando mucho de esa cuestión. Si tengo 6-7 minutos, por poner antecedentes, menos 3 minutos por poner antecedentes.
Tenemos a los otros speakers. Sí.
Muy brevemente, en medio minuto. Ya en los años 70 hubo un gran debate internacional entre el uso de los diseños muestrales y el uso de modelos estadísticos en la estadística oficial. Los modelos estadísticos producen estimaciones más precisas si el modelo es correcto. Si el modelo no es correcto, entonces estamos en un grave problema. Entonces son los diseños muestrales los que producen estadísticas mejor. Con el empuje del Buró de Censos y de hecho de Morris Hansen, que fue director del la comunidad internacional decidió que los diseños muestrales estaban en el lado seguro, donde las estadísticas oficiales que se publicaban estaban libres de modelizar cómo los datos de la economía, de la población, de salud, de cualquier se generaban. Es una cuestión matemática donde no entendemos, o sea, entendemos que lo que se recoge en los cuestionarios no son realizaciones de variables aleatorias. Y eso se acabó. Entonces, ahora hay que poner en claro cómo se van a hacer esas hipótesis.
Gracias, David. Emmanuel?
Yeah, so to the first question, so so the right way to describe the process of just replacing a name or like a personal identifier with some random number is pseudonymization. So it's just, and this doesn't mean that the data is anonymized. It's just a way of conveying the fact that we can't talk about anonymization the way we thought about it. So that's like the new technical term. Yes, it's you talked about the micro data, the micro labs. The Opal like system vision is very similar. It's a question and answer kind of approach, and you can think about it in other settings. If you the example that was used is, if you want to be let into a bar in the US, you need to show that you're over 21, and then so you show your ID. And on your ID, there is much more information that is needed. There is your name, there is everything. There is when the question should be, can you get in or not? So it's a yes and no answer. Okay. So to the question about telecom companies, so the short answer is no. They don't charge the project. So it leads to the question. Actually, they're investing. And if they're investing in the sense that they put people at work, etc., and this is worth like really hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars just last year. So it gets to the question, I think, which is key, which is why do they do that? So they do that for 4 main reasons. One is some people internally have a genuine interest in using their data and so doing good and seeing, and there are those people in this company, so you have to find them and work with them, etc. The second, it's a brand argument. They want to look good. It looks good. They want to be at the UN World Data Forum. They want to be in Davos, if possible. They want to be, talked about by the president. So yeah, it looks good. There is also an argument for like competencies and culture internally. They want to get more data driven. They want to have innovation labs, etc. So they're interested in partnering with people like this group and others. And the last one is about revenues. So yes, they will want to get revenues out of their data. So it's valorization, monetization. We're working on the business model with them where we are trying to make as much in the future. Right now, everything is free in the pilots. In the future, there will be a freemium model. There are B2B cases. There will be B4 development cases. We're trying to push the envelope as much as possible such that for national statistical offices, it's free or very cheap for some indicators, etc. And then if it's Coca-Cola who wants those insights to know where they should build their plant, then they're like, okay, it's like market price. How much are you willing to pay? And then there's a system that trickles down and that can then fuel the rest of the system. That's the gist of it.
Thank you. I would like to ask Jean-Marc about this right to be forgotten and the difference with the razor and what are the implications for privacy.
First project of the GDPR, there was indeed a right to be forgotten. It's still in the GDPR now and under brackets. And now we speak about right to erasure because the right to be forgotten, it's a dream, but it's unrealistic on internet. When you push the return button, you lose control on your data. It's over. Because now the technology can catch the data wherever it is and can put back in the internet in 10 years, 20 years. And we prefer to play at the level of the data, the primary data controller, and to say if I want to have my data deleted, I need to ask him. But we cannot give an obligation of what the data will be processed after that. It's impossible. It's unrealistic. And then that was the reflection of the right to be forgotten.
Thank you.
I mean, it's an issue for the privacy because you really lose your control on your data when you drop it on internet. That's the reality.
Yeah, and I know the case because of a citizen from Spain that had a foreclosure. He had paid back, and then it came out that the data was still there.
Yes, and we see that we have many problems of harassment, sexual harassment on internet in Belgium, and the big difficulty is to stop the spread of the data. It's impossible because as soon as we have stopped the processes, it comes back few years later. It's totally awful. It's not possible to be forgotten on internet.
Thank you. Before I give you back the floor, I would like to ask Felix about the. I like very much this. This evidence-based approach, and but do you have some specific examples, or where do you think? Or has been applied this, or I mean, the way it sounds, I like it very much. Implementation, have you some ideas about that?
Yes, yes, I can give you examples. I mean, this is what I focus on, is working with mostly government organizations, trying to help them think specifically about this. Now, I love the background. The statistical disclosure control is a fantastic theoretical concept. 40 years, it's coherent, it's consistent, it's lovely. But when you get down to it, having to make decisions, you need to make decisions based upon what will go wrong in that context, and spend a lot of time doing that. And the reason I do this is partly because often what I'm suggesting when we start looking at things becomes, amongst other things, a lot cheaper. Rather than trying to think about all the possible things to go forward, we think actually, let's look at, for example, output disclosure control, where you're checking to see what are the problems of researchers using very sensitive data. You could think about, okay, let's apply the standard rules about what sort of things you need to do to protect tables and other outputs. But if you think about what researchers actually do and how they use data, and also what their incentives are, you can devise systems which are incredibly efficient, which on the face of it seem very difficult and costly, but actually they are incredibly efficient because essentially we work out what everyone wants to get out of this, and we have a system where everyone works together. And so I get the researchers to do the work for me, and the trade-off for that is that when they really need my input, I'm always available for them. So we get something where we manage by exception. But I mean, on that 5 saves model, we can go through lots of examples of, in particular cases, where you rethink things and you come up with quite different solutions on here.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? ¿Hay preguntas que alguien quiere hacer? No? Would you like to have some final comment, any of you? No? Okay, so we are on time. I would like to thank our 4 bold panelists. Thank you. Okay, so we have a break of 10 minutes, un descanso de 10 minutos.